No problem parenting. What is that? Well, we're about to interview one of our authors in our recently updated book, published book called No Problem Parenting. We're going to bring up Helen Snell. So excited to have Helen to join us in this book and also to interview you to find out like what your chapter is all about. How did you get into the work that you do and what it's all about? So Helen, welcome to No Problem Parenting. Good to see you today.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
You know, this book, No Problem Parenting, when I first was approached by Jackie Finneman to be the publisher for it, I was like, no problem parenting. Like I had lots of problems while I was parenting. That's for darn sure. And so, but before we get into your chapter in the book, I would love for you to share with the audience, like, what is it that you do today?
Wow. So I love how you put today on the end of that sentence because from day to day, what I do changes. I'm a parent first, but I am a ghostwriter, a copywriter, and a storyteller. And I came into that business by my first kind of journey into the entrepreneurial world came after I was separated from my husband and need to, balance life with the kids. Realized entrepreneurship was the way to go, and I needed to kind of find my identity in a larger brand that I was working with, and kind of fell into this whole idea of what is your story, what is your brand, and that led to my writing journey, and that has led to me now writing with you guys.
Oh, so that's so good. I love the progression, right? So when you were young, is this something you dreamt of being or doing?
It's funny. I've always been um, a creative. I used to write poetry and songs when I was younger, and if you would have asked me, was I ever going to be a writer or a copywriter when I grew up, that was probably one of the last things on my mind. But
Mm-hmm.
it's that creative process that I enjoy, and also the fact that I am a lifelong learner. I could be like a professional university student because I love to learn, and that kind of balance of my creativity in writing for other people really helps to feed that whole thing for me of learning all the time, because I need to learn about everybody's business and learn about the industry that they're in if I'm writing blogs for them, or whatever that may be. So it's kind of a fun balance for me of the creative side and the what's the other side called?
Practical, yeah. Who are
There you
they?
go.
Who are those people? Well, it's interesting because I'm I guess a lifelong learner too, but more so in my later years is when I started to recognize that I love like learning new things. I had 49 jobs in 36 years, and those 49 jobs, I learned something new every single time. And so
Yeah.
what I learned about myself was that it was that learning process that I wanted to continue to go through. I didn't want to be stagnant. And
Yeah.
so what is it about you that makes you want to, continue to learn and what is, let's do this. What was the favorite thing you've learned so far? if you could even pick one thing.
So I want to say, first of all, that I resonate with you. You have definitely beat my record of 49 jobs in 36 years. But I have called myself a jack of all trades, or a Jill of all trades, master of none, because I have worked in everything from event management to accounting to sales. Just like you, I have learned something every time. And I think the biggest lesson that I have learned is that not everyone finds that kind of career of their dreams that they think they're going to have in high school or university and follows that path. And I think more and more that's actually changing for people, that we continue to morph in and out of jobs as our life morphs in and out of situations. And I'm actually now really grateful that I've had that opportunity to work in so many different industries and so many different capacities. Rather than that idea that I thought I was supposed to fall in love with some career and stick with it for the rest of my life. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned, is it's okay to be me, and it's okay to move in and out of things as they suit my life.
I totally agree with you. And one thing you said there was supposed to. When we're young, we're we're very impressionable. When we're growing up, we have our family only, like when we're little, and then we branch out and we go to school, and then we learn from all these other kids, and then we have all these teachers, and then we're kind of like learning like what we should be doing based on who we're surrounded by. But then when we get into the real world, some of us keep going down that path, and oftentimes it's not because we want to, it's because it's what we were conditioned to do. And then there's
Exactly.
others who will go down and try to, I think that's what happened with me. And I didn't realize it at the time. I thought there was something wrong with me, that here I'm always exploring new things. And by the way, I
Yep.
never got fired from a job. All those jobs were jobs I jumped from the next to the next.
Yep.
And I think that that's an important piece there, is because we are individuals. And as parents, now let's go to the book, as parents, we have the ability to mold our kids into what we want them to be. And we also have the ability to allow them to become their own people, their own people. And so I would love to hear from you. Like, what was it about this book that made you decide you wanted to be in it and share your message and your story?
You know what? I think that's actually like a beautiful tie-in from the question that you just asked, because that's exactly the style of parenting that I had, is allowing my children to be who they are. I was going to say who they were. They still are. So, my son decided to quit his job at the beginning of COVID and become self-employed. And I'm sure everybody in the world would have been like, no, 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 that's the wrong thing to do. And I was like, whatever makes you happy. Like that's what you have to do. If the time is right for you, this is what you have to do. My oldest is 30. She's looking at going back to university. It's all about finding the way to support them to be who they want to be, rather than trying to make them what you think they're supposed to be. That's kind of been my style with parenting. And I have 3 children who never fit the typical school mold either, which made that a very interesting journey for me. One who was very high achieving, and she was labeled as a gifted student. My youngest daughter has Down syndrome, so of course she didn't follow the regular patterns as either. And then my son was actually a very slow learner in so far as learning reading and comprehension in his early years, and it ended up becoming like a bit of a almost like a confidence issue for him going through school. And it wasn't until later that he kind of came into being in his own world. And so challenging that education system, being an advocate for my kids, was just a constant fight, because sometimes you can't put a square peg in a round hole, and that's what they want you to do.
Yeah, you got to shave off the edges in order to get that square peg into that round hole.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about your chapter, Be in It. Be in it. What the heck does that mean? Be in it.
So as I was starting to kind of put it together, so first of all, because I'm a storyteller, what I wanted to do was share stories of kind of lessons that I had learned with actual examples from my children. And all 3 of them were included in the story, so I didn't just pick on one of them. And I realized as I was kind of compiling that my message really is about just like being in their world. Show up and be in their world. So when they're small, you need to be on the floor with them and playing with the toys that they're playing with. If they're interested in a certain sport, you try to be involved with that and help them navigate the learning process of that until they don't want to do it anymore. And then you go to something else. It's all about showing up for me. And it's all about making mistakes along the way, knowing that they're going to be there, right? No parenting is perfect. And I think the biggest thing for me in so far as no problem parenting is actually the biggest thing I would say is being in it. I mean, being in their world, being at their level, being at their learning capacity, being at their maturity level, whatever that may take to help them navigate the process, rather than putting them into a system or putting them into a situation that I think they should be in, or making them stick it with the sport if they started with that sport. I don't think that's what it's about. I think And that's probably part of this lifelong learning process that I have. I wanted to pass that on to my kids and just show up and be where they were.
So many things just ran through. So many memories just ran through my head, not things, but memories, with my daughter especially. And something that you reminded me of as you were speaking there is my daughter and son, they both played in band. I was a band nerd myself. From second to 12th grade, I played flute and all that stuff. And when my kids came around and they were playing instruments, they chose them. They wanted to play, which was awesome. And in high school, I remember, because high school was raising my daughter was tough all along, but high school, oh my God, talk about, hitting my head against the wall sometimes. But, I didn't know how to raise a child. I had through my own upbringing, it was all I had as an experience. And so anyway, I remember one day she looked at me, I think she was probably in 10th grade by this time. And I was a band mom. I became one of those band moms. I showed up at everything. I was there at the practices and all the, I wasn't telling anybody what to do, but I was a band mom. I wanted to be involved. I wanted to be involved in my daughter's life. And one day she looked at me and she goes, Mom, you don't have to come to all these band things like that. And I said, I'm not coming for you. I'm coming for me. And I said, I am here. I said, plus your friends all love me like that. And I don't know if that was the right move or not, but it was the right move for me. And sometimes, and the reason I'm sharing this is because sometimes the right move is the right move for you and maybe not for your child, because we're both individuals. Like I can't live. I decided I wasn't going to live my whole life for my kids, because I'm a human being. I have desires and wants and needs as well. And so I showed up, but she's glad now that I did. She's almost 40 and she's glad now that I did show up. Oh my gosh, we're out of time, Helen. So what I want to ask you is, first of all, we're talking about the book, No Problem Parenting. You can get your copy. And plus some of the authors have given away free gifts. Go to our website, actiontakerspublishing.com/NPP, actiontakerspublishing.com/NPP. Go get your free gifts over there. And also please go get a copy of the book. Helen, what I would love for you to share with the audience today is, what is one thing that you would love the readers to be able to take away from reading this book?
I would hope that they would discover the different personalities of my children through those stories and realize that each of their children are, just as you said, individual personalities, as are they. And it's all about building those relationships to work together. You don't want to be a hover parent. You don't want to be a disengaged parent. It's all about just kind of treating everyone like the individuals that they are, doing your best and knowing that you're going to make mistakes and apologizing when you do it.
It's okay to apologize as a parent. That's for sure. I love it. Thank you, Helen, so much for being part of this book and coming on today and talking about what you are up to. And you can connect with Helen at Linktree, Helen Harwood Snell. Linktree. You can see it on the screen, okay? Like how it's spelled. HelenHarwoodSnell.com. A lot of people know about Linktree, so go ahead over there. And Helen, again, thanks for being with us. Really appreciate you. And we're going to see you all on the next interview, actiontakerspublishing.com/NPP. Thank you so much for being here. We're back. Thanks so much for being here.
Awesome. That went well. So that actually just reminded me, I think I didn't have my free gift ready yet. So can I send a link to you for my free gift?
Yes, you can. And we're going to go right to commercial right now. Right, Sally? Okay, Sally's having problems.
One of the things I like most with the collaboration books is because we all have our own networks. And so when we're working together, that's how we can get to be number one so quickly. And it's like you guys are watching the numbers and you're like, oh, we're number 10, or oh, we're number 3. Oh, this person beat us. We're back to number 2 again. And it's like a big giant contest. And so it's a lot of high energy. And kudos to you for doing 2 books 7 days apart, like that. I can imagine the energy that took, but it's very exciting. And just since I do have that other poem that's in a different book that was not part of what you do, I did notice like a contrast. Like I didn't really get notified when that one was going to be released, and I didn't see it being promoted. I actually reached out to them to see if there was anything I could do to kind of share the word, and they ended up interviewing me and doing like a little 30-second commercial or something. I don't know where it ended up or how they used it, but really following someone who's done this before so that we have that experience. Like many of us have had coaches or mentors, and you look for someone who's already achieved what you want. So if your result that you want is to be #1 international best-selling author, then we are all in the right place with you, my friend.